just to give an example, Axie Infinity, something based a virtual reality world where you can go in, you can download Steam and jump in and own land and build on those lands. You've got CryptoVoxel, which is more a voxel-based land. Decentraland, which I'll be going through today. Sandbox, which is also kind of voxel-based, but kind of like Roblox and Minecraft, kind of meshed together. So a little bit of historical context on Decentraland, and now we're looking at a product that is about 2 to 3 years old, although what you're jumping in and you're kind of experiencing, that's only 8 or 9 months old, 10 months or something. So February that launched, and February 20th, I believe. But previous to that, so mid-2017, so February 2020 was when Decentraland launched, in the sense of you could finally go in and walk around. But previous to that, in mid-2017, there was the Decentraland ICO, so that's where Mana was raised as an ICO. $20 million was raised, 68,000 Ethereum at the time. And they were kind of lucky to be running an ICO at a time when it was kind of ICO crazy, people were throwing money everywhere. They were making gains in Ethereum and all the other crypto, and they were taking a bit and throwing it into a new ICO, and Decentraland was kind of born in that environment, so it was very well funded. Something very easily done back then. Pretty much every ICO was funded pretty quickly. I think this was sold out within under a minute or something. December 2017, so later on that year, they held their first land auction sale. So there was a massive, kind of like this, what you see here, where there's just these dots everywhere, and you could have put a bid on any land that you want. And most lands sold for about 8,000 mana, right? On the far outskirts, they sold for 1,000 mana. So if we go to land.marketplace, land.decentraland.org, and we check out some of these lands, if we kind of scroll all the way down, click a random land like this, you see transaction history 2 years ago. Oh, that was because of the second auction. Okay, so I'm trying to find something. So yeah, 3 years ago, this was bought for 1,000 mana. So if someone, it was a bidding war, and it was kind of like, it went for 2 weeks, the auction event went for 2 weeks, and if at the end of that 2 weeks, no one outbid you, then you got that land, right? So you can see on the far outskirts, they went for 1,000 mana. The closer you got to something like this, went for, again, 1,000 mana. There wasn't that much demand, but the closer you got to the center, so now we're getting pretty close, you can see 7,500 mana back then, 3 years ago. And then if you get really close, and you're actually touching Genesis Center Plaza, 149,000 mana. So there was a lot of competition when the first 3 years ago, there was heaps of competition with land being sold closer to the center. I'll just give you a quick breakdown. This is Center Genesis Plaza, which is the green boxes, which are where Decentraland can deploy. They have access to these areas, so these Genesis Plazas, where Decentraland's going to have events and all sorts of things. Purple areas are districts, so this is Crypto Valley District, this is Dragon Kingdom District, this is Battleground District. Each district have their own community or individual that's building them. Some are empty because they haven't been built out. Some of them do have content. It's kind of a mixed bag based on what you can get. These are roads, so you can see this weird squiggly ones. It's a single road, some of them are thicker, so we call them double roads. Land connected double roads are a little bit more expensive than single roads, etc., etc. So a light blue means they are listed. You can join lands. The more lands you have concurrent, you can join them. The more you join, the higher you can build. So you can see some people have joined the lands. Some people have joined the land and put it up for sale. There's a value proposition in buying joined lands as opposed to single lands because you can build that. So that was the case. So the first land auction happened, and $15 million of land was spent. $15 million USD was spent around about that on land. 161 million mana at the time, which was all burnt. And Decentraland had this model where they try and burn mana, which decreases the supply, increases the demand, and therefore the value of mana will increase. Most land sold for 1,000 to 2,000 mana. Some for a lot more, 500,000 mana. Some of them in the center, as we saw. Jan 2018, crypto bull run ending. So they're very lucky. I have to say, Decentraland had a great idea, yes, but they're also pretty lucky to be born in an ICO frenzy era and also finish off their land auction just before the bull run kind of ended. So Jan 2018, the bull run ended, and people were coming off, the massive, like 20x their portfolio were coming down, and they're throwing their money around. That's kind of when I got involved. Not that my portfolio went up that high, but I remember just being like, oh crap, where do I put my money? And then I found Decentraland, and then I was like, oh my god, I'll go into some digital land. This kind of seems like a good idea. And so there's a big influx of people coming into Decentraland who are trying to buy some land. And back then, this kind of view didn't exist. It was all just kind of messaging people in Discord to try and get some land, right? You couldn't actually transact via a smart contract, so like how you can buy land and how you can go to Uniswap and make transactions and swap assets. You couldn't do that. You had to manually send someone something. So I had to manually send someone 10,000 mana. They had to manually send me the lands back. So very risky, but I never got scammed once, which is really surprising. I've done hundreds, possibly thousands of lands OTC like that. So that happened, and then because they called it the Terraform event, the land auction event was finished, and the only land you could get was from the secondary market, and people were buying, they were selling them for about 2 to 5,000 pounds. So people were like, well, wait a second, I can 2 to 5x my money pretty much straight after I bought them. And it was just so lucky at that time because it had a new influx of people coming in, that they were able to exit, and people like me were entering at that time. So people were negotiating prices for all kinds of lands. No one really knew the prices of any of these lands because there was no real maturity of the market. Some people were selling really good lands. I remember buying a land next to Genesis Plaza for like 5,000